For complete beginners to laser engraving, it can be a frustrating surprise to learn that your new laser machine is actually not enough all by itself. And you might actually need to add on a few additional tools in order to be able to run your laser safely and effectively. But the good news is, once you know the purpose of each of these additional laser shop tools, you'll not only be equipped to start making top-notch laser projects, but you're also going to know what to upgrade when you start running into problems. So in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of 6 key laser shop tools, including 4 that could be completely essential to the operation of your laser, and also 2 that are technically optional, but they're still super handy and I use them in my own laser shop all the time. Tool number 1 is a real air compressor. Now, if you haven't heard this already, then if you're gonna do any type of cutting with your laser, then you're probably going to need what's called an air assist. All this really is a little hose that blasts air down through your laser's nozzle in order to clear out debris. This gives you cleaner and faster cuts, reduces flame risk, and very importantly, it helps to prevent scorching. And the source of air for an air assist is an air compressor. Now, some premium prosumer style lasers on the market come with a pretty serious air assist air compressor already in the bundle. However, most cheaper or desktop style lasers don't come with one at all or have one in the bundle that's extremely underpowered. For example, this is the air assist pump that I got for my first diode laser. It is rated at around 5 PSI and it is extremely underpowered for what I do in my shop. However, I've since upgraded to this much larger California Air Tools air compressor here, and I usually run this at around 25 to 35 PSI, and this gives me way better performance, much cleaner cuts, and much less scorching on the materials I'm cutting. So if the laser you bought didn't come with an air compressor, or if it came with a tiny low-powered one, or if you're just having trouble with scorching, then it might be time to add or upgrade your air assist or air compressor for your laser. And the next tool on the list is really kind of a combination of multiple tools, and that is an exhaust system. The bottom line is lasers generate fumes, and so you need some sort of system or setup to deal with those fumes when you produce them. And again, not all lasers will come with this sort of thing included. So as I see it, there are fundamentally 3 different options for an exhaust system setup. Number 1 is to vent outside, and this is typically done by going out like a wall or a window and using an inline fan to pull the exhaust and fumes out and sort of shoot it out that hole. And then you're of course going to need ducting that connects the inline fan and the outlet outside to your laser enclosure. The second basic option is to vent inside, but to run all of the fumes and everything into a fume extractor, which is basically going to filter out the smoke. And if you're gonna go for this one, you gotta be really careful, because if you're venting inside, you need to make sure that you have a machine and a setup that's going to do a really good job of filtering everything out to make sure the air quality in your shop is gonna be safe for you to be working in there. The third option is basically a combination of these 2, and that's to run all of the fumes and everything through a fume extractor and then to also vent it outside. And I personally really like the idea of this option. I haven't gotten it fully set up yet, but I'm gonna try this out with a new fume extractor that I have here in my shop. And part of the reason I find this appealing is because I live in a neighborhood with neighbors pretty close by, so I don't want to bother anybody with the smell, but also I have a backyard and I've got kids, and so I like the idea that it's not going to just be smelling outside in our backyard, which is where the outside vent that I have right now is going. Anyway, the next essential tool that you might need in your laser shop, depending on your laser and your setup, is a separate pair of laser safety glasses like these. And this is a big safety rabbit hole that's somewhat complicated, and I'll be quick to say, disclaimer, I'm not an expert on this. So what I'm gonna do is just share what I personally do for my safety glasses and how I chose these. So personally, even though I have enclosures for my lasers, I still like to wear laser safety glasses when the machines are on, just as a fail-safe. And when I chose these laser safety glasses, there were 2 main ratings that I considered in choosing them. The first is the wavelength that it filters out, and the second is the OD, or optical density rating. And you can see both of these printed on the top right-hand corner of my laser safety glasses here. Of these 2 ratings, the wavelength I think is the easiest one to understand. All I really had to do was find the wavelength on my laser, so I can find it right here on my diode laser. It says it has a wavelength of around 455 nanometers. And then I just had to make sure that I was getting a pair of safety glasses that included that wavelength inside of the range it covers. The OD rating is a little bit more tricky to figure out, and it basically just means the amount of light that is filtered. So the higher the OD number, the more light is getting filtered out. So then the next question becomes, well, how much OD do you actually need? And that seems to depend on the type of laser you're using and also a little bit on who you ask. But personally, I like to use this free OD calculator from the Laser Institute of America. It takes the inputs of your wavelength and also the power of your laser, and gives you an estimate for the minimum OD that you probably want to be using for your safety glasses. And if we use the same example, you can see that if I punch in my wavelength and then also the wattage of my laser, which my highest powered diode laser is 40 watts, so I'll put that in here, then it gives me a recommended or suggested minimum OD for that type of laser. And that's why when running that laser, I use this pair of safety glasses that is OD 6+ rated. Now we've been talking mostly about the ones I use for my diode laser, but I use basically the same process to choose the ones for my CO2 lasers. And if you want to have a look at the exact ones that I personally use, I put links in the description below so you can see them as an example. Now for laser shop tool number 4, I'm going to keep this one super short because it won't apply to everyone. It kind of depends on the specific laser you have. So if you have a pretty powerful CO2 laser, you might also need a chiller to cool the laser tube that produces the laser. Some CO2 lasers come with a cooling system already built in. For example, I have a water cooling system built into my Xtool P2 CO2 laser. However, for other CO2 lasers, you can buy a chiller separately as an add-on like this example you see right here. And just to be clear, this is not needed for diode or fiber lasers. It's only needed for high wattage CO2 lasers that didn't already come with some sort of cooling solution. Now this is where we're going to transition from the absolutely essential to the technically optional but still super handy items. And so this laser shop tool, well, it's really more of a supply than a tool. But number 5 is going to be this 3M laser safe adhesive. This adhesive has been a huge time saver for me because I make a lot of layered projects, and I think it just works a lot cleaner and faster than using something like wood glue or super glue, for example. And you can see how this works with this simple layered sign here that I made for an upcoming Lightburn 101 video that's going to be published in the same series. Oh, and by the way, I don't think I've mentioned it yet. This video you're watching right now is actually part of a 6-video series that I'm publishing here on YouTube, which is basically a free laser engraving mini course. And so I'll direct you to the full playlist that's gonna have all of the videos in the series in it at the end of this video. And one more thing, there seem to be multiple versions of this type of product available. And so if you're curious, the specific one that I use, I'll put a link to that in the description so you can go and check it out if you want to. And I don't think I can overstate just how much I use this next tool. So laser shop tool number 6 is a good utility knife. If you don't have a good one in your shop already, then you're probably gonna want one, because if you're anything like me doing projects that are anything like the ones that I do, you're gonna end up using this all of the time. A typical example of how this could be used is no matter how good you are at testing and getting things set up on your laser, sometimes you're gonna get little tags that just need to get knocked off on your material before you can complete your project. And there's no better tool for that sort of cleanup task than a utility knife like this, and that's not even to mention the other normal shop things that you can use it for, like opening boxes of materials and all of that good stuff. But none of these tools will do you much good if you don't also know how to control your laser using the laser software. But the good news is the very next video coming up in this free laser engraving mini course is going to be the Lightburn 101 video to help you get comfortable using the Lightburn laser software. And so if you want to see that video or the rest of the videos in this series, you can check out this playlist right here. And by the way, if you're watching this in the present, there's going to be more videos published to this playlist over the next couple of weeks. But if you're watching this in the future, then all of it might be there ready for you right now. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye now.